So yeah, welcome to our Simmons and Simmons promo series of the 2023 TikTok Women's Six Nations. First, I'd like to thank Aoife McDermott and Larissa Muldoon for joining us, both former Irish internationals. And I suppose the idea is to get you to chat about maybe your thoughts, predictions of the series itself, but also maybe just to get a little bit, for us to get a chance to get to know you a little bit better as former and current railway players. So just to start off, Aoife, you've obviously got 19 caps with Ireland. Be really interesting to kind of hear from you as to what your journey as a player was like in terms of get to that stage.
Yeah, it was kind of a unique one. I grew up playing basketball throughout most of my childhood. I'm quite tall, so it made sense at the time. And had a lot of success with basketball, played underage, internationally and senior level. And just during my time in college in Limerick, I seen the success of the Irish women's team and the Grand Slam winning teams and things like that, and always thought it would be a fun sport to try, and eventually moved to Dublin, and just the kind of stars aligned. I found myself in railway and I'm down at a training session, and just started learning the game there. And I was really lucky that railway was quite successful and has a lot of girls to play international rugby and stuff like that, so they pulled me along and taught me the game. And 18 months later, then I was lucky enough to get capped with Ireland, and there we are 19 caps later.
Wow. And so you're still currently playing with Railway. I've been told, head of the line out. Head of the line out.
Lower the line out. And yeah, very much enjoying the season with Railway this year, and we're in the depths of the cup competition at the moment, so we'll to finish that on a high.
Great. And so Larissa, you obviously were part of the 2013 Grand Slam team, which is, obviously something that we've all kind of been so inspired by, which is amazing for an Irish team to get to. Likewise, it'd be really interesting just to hear your pathway to playing in an Irish jersey.
Yeah, so I suppose I followed the path. I played GAA from under 14 Hawaii up to county, up into minor, and then at the age of 18 I went to Wales. I was mad keen on rugby, so I went to university that literally was kind of like semi-professional setup. Was training 2-3 times a week, gym sessions, and played 2 matches a week. And at that time I was playing in the British universities, where we actually had our final day in Twickenham, so it was a huge competition structure. So yeah, I played my first year in freshers, and after the first year they sent video footage over to the Irish team. So I was just 18, and then that Christmas I was in my first Irish camp, and I commuted back and forth, until really 2016, till I came back home for the World Cup. So that was kind of my journey, how the footage was seen from an exile coming back, and 48 caps later, Grand Slam, Six Nations. So I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky to start what I did. It's a long time ago now. And
listen, timing is everything, and I think we all make our own luck. So yeah, don't be too hard on yourself. And you're obviously a senior coach with Railway as well at the moment.
I am, yeah. I kind of fell into. Well, I was involved in coaching for the past 10 years, and I worked with Dublin GAA and worked with Leinster Rugby. When I was in Wales, I worked with kind of Blues, Ospreys and that, and like a lot of community coaching. But I had a bad injury and kind of just fell down the avenue of coaching, and I've loved it ever since. So yeah, that's another journey.
Yeah, it's interesting that you've both come from, transitioning into rugby a little bit later than maybe some would suggest. Is that something that is changing now, would you say?
I think so. I think if you look at the current Irish squad at the moment, we have a lot of girls 18, 19, 20 who grew up playing rugby at grassroots level, and it was their number one sport all the way through. And that's really exciting. They've such knowledge of the game at such a young age. Our paths are a bit different, but I think it's starting to change.
Well, listen, you both still got there, still on the Irish jerseys, so whatever way you get there doesn't really matter, I suppose.
Yeah.
So great to see Railway. Obviously there's been great representation from Railway on the Irish squad for a number of years. How do you think the girls are going to fare in this year's championship? There's a few that you've mentioned that will be featuring this year.
Yeah. So obviously the 32-person squad that Greg's named, really exciting. I suppose from a Railway perspective, we have the likes of Molly Ryan who came through the Celtic Cup Challenge that was around there in January, February. She got her first cap in that competition and now has kind of earned the right, earned the jersey to be where she is. So really excited about her from a back row. She's just a powerhouse, and she's just a terrier on the field. In the back line then you have like Elsie Hughes, another railway member. She's been involved for a few seasons now. So really excited for her to see how she goes in the scrum half and kind of the game management perspective. And Aoife Doyle then, who's an absolute flyer, a dinger. So she's definitely keen and ready to go. We also have the girls in the wider squad, the likes of Megan Collis and Leah Tarby and Kayla Waldron, are on the extended squad. So sport's a funny thing. Those girls could be straight back into that 30-odd squad. So.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I suppose it's going to be, I'm assuming, a war of attrition, throughout the games, and you never know what numbers you're going to need towards the last game, I guess. And so then moving towards, I suppose, a little bit more of the thoughts and predictions as to how you think the team in general are going to fare. So obviously came out of last championship, 2 wins, I think 3 losses, finishing fourth. How do you see the girls getting on this year?
I think it's very hard to say. All the other nations are coming off the back of the World Cup, and they're had played more recently together than us. At the start of every World Cup cycle, there was a lot of new coaches and new players and just retirees and different things like that, shifting within teams, ourselves included, and every other nation. So heading into the weekend, it's hard to say. I think Wales are an excellent side, so it's going to be a tight match and hard to call, I think, at this time.
And so England, naturally, they're, I think, world number 2 Grand Slam champions. Do you see them naturally as favourites coming into this?
Yeah, I think, firstly, just going back to Wales, I think what an opportunity. First game up, Principality Stadium. I think they're playing actually in Cardiff Arms, just beside the Principality. But just on Wales, they have probably 11 girls that are playing in Gloucester. So the cohesion there will be really interesting to see, kind of how they bring their their kind of expertise from the Premiership into the national level. Not one of those Welsh girls are playing in any Welsh club; they're all playing in English clubs, which is really interesting. Where it just shows you where the game's going. And to be honest, the Premiership, the English Premiership, is probably one of the best competitions for the female game in the world. So why not use that? So that would be really good. But it's also interesting. We have, I think it's 10 girls that have come into the 32-person squad. So how they fare now with the 22 other girls that are here in Ireland. Now they, that cohesion and how it merges. So it's going to be really interesting. I'm really excited for Wales. They're just, it's always and it's going to be more competitive. And when we go back to England now, England are, top of the nations, and they're probably 10 years more advanced than us, where they're training age and playing age and expertise. So it'd be tough to compete, but I think the likes of Wales, Italy and Scotland is really where we want to target.
Yeah, and it seems like there's been a little bit of a seesaw in some of the results between Wales over the last few years. There's been strong, I suppose, wins on either side of the coin. So it's up for a toss, and really, I suppose, up to this weekend.
Yeah, I think it's well within Ireland's, they can absolutely win it. They just have to, as Larry says, be cohesive, all be singing off the same hymn sheet, and have, follow the game plan that's been put to them, and, see, and then just try and counteract whatever Wales through with them and see what happens.
And so then what about the French? Where do they fit into the favourites tag?
I would say France, obviously you're sitting either 1 or 2. Now they've lost a few key players this year. The only advantage for us, we'll get a game of Wales under our belt. Then we have France at home, and they never travel well. It's just typical French. I think they're just so laissez-faire and that. But I'm really excited. Musgrave Park with against the French. You never know what could happen. And it just really depends. If we put in a good shift, I think if we get Wales under our belt and put in a really good performance, we'll be in a good path.
And so you mentioned Muldoon Park there. So obviously that's going to be the home this year of the Irish home games. Interesting move, I suppose, out of Dublin. I suppose good to see it being moved. I know Larissa, you're with the RFU, so you might be able to touch on its movement to Muldoon Park, and hopefully maybe luckily following the success, I guess, of the boys. under 20s Grand Slam.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic weekend for Irish rugby. Like the senior men on Saturday and then the under 20s, and no better teams deserve it, because obviously I work there and I can see the hard work that's put in by all teams. But fair play to them and a massive congratulations. I think it's great the way it is kind of spread around the provinces, and Musgrave is a fantastic pitch, and a sense of community down there as well. But it would be interesting to see if it will go around the provinces, maybe, see one in the sports ground in the Kingspan where we have played our Celtic Cup games, and then maybe bring it back to Donnybrook, or maybe back to Ashford where we used to play all our old games.
Very good. And so I know there's been a lot in the media over the last, few months, and more than in the last year or two, about, I suppose, the progress that Irish rugby is making in the women's space, and there's obviously been development in that. The girls have been, been contracts offered or whatnot. You see it's obviously a positive, I'm assuming, in terms of where we're headed, where Irish women's rugby is heading.
Yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction, and we'd always like to see more and strive for more contracts and more money, and more structures around the grassroots levels and the AIL and all that kind of stuff. Definitely a step in the right direction with more work to do.
Fair. Yeah. So do a little quick fire round if that's all right with you both. So literally first thing that comes to mind, and if you can just both shout your answers out as they come at the same time. Yeah, both right. So texting or calling?
Texting.
Calling.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Neither.
Beach or pool?
Beach.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
Moving slightly into your more probably day-to-day, cardio or weights?
Cardio.
Home or away?
Home.
Favourite venue?
I'm going to say Neva.
I was going to say Donnybrook.
Very good. Who's the class clown in Railway?
Lindsay B.
Yes.
Agreement there. What player are you most excited to see in this year's tournament? Irish or otherwise?
I'm really excited to see Aoife McGrath. Obviously, she's from Donegal, and that's where my family are all from. But she came through the under-18s. Obviously identified in Ulster, came through the under-18s with Girls Six Nations last year, and now is on the way to earn her first ever cap as a senior. So she's just an amazing person underneath it all, but she's like a sponge. She's so easy to coach, and I just wish her all the best.
Great.
I think I'm most excited to see Sam Monaghan. She was one of the breakout stars from last year's Six Nations. She's fell second row. I just think her work rate and her just ball playing abilities, she's so exciting to watch, and it's up to her push on again this year and be one of those real leaders of the team.
Okay, top. Probably not too much of a quick round to ask in fairness. Who will get the wooden spoon?
Scotland, maybe?
Yeah, I'd agree.
And who will be crowned champions?
Thinking
Ireland.
Go on.
Another Grand Slam. Sure, no about it.
I'm very persistent, but you're listening, why not?
Okay, great.
Listen, thank you both so much for coming in to chat to us. And we might see you throughout the rest of the series if you'd be with it to come back. And
thanks for having me. Thank you. 3 days.